In this second segment, victims continue narrating their challenges and what needs to be done to have them addressed.
Ngokwama tusamalira hanu kandi ngokwamanyisa malera nabenene hikenu namabuta n'omwana amabya mulema isyangowo amatwali bene obunu buli bene syalibugaga tuniaho hatutya mwebitigari ukabwana uyu musayini aliwe kandi anamusoma ali umwepifo umwojojo ali umwepifo besya sente sikelwa hayi ngabi ngawethe bana mwenda abosi bali umwesukuru abosi bakatwala metro makumiani ni tran okwabule tamu singuti hangesi hano kwanga samalere mali yari simulichi omukali atali yale mubotro kusatwa erongo pe
Mubulemu butwabwabiryasa obulemu babetwa mutrabya engane mutrasongamwe bya psychological trauma. Nashaje wabirita ho mukali nare nabe kwa abusing. Ahabiri bya nabiri kwa abusing. Nare ewashongo bongo ebwabya solusuit. Ukaba biri solusutraho nare ebwabikalaho ukabyo namutabangu kaho kandu kanga hanga hamukasoberanya emabya mwere byamu akatabangu
ti genma abero ano tien yato tien ene peti util mapol mamere tem jarot kata dan ko yat ti oregene wan menerge wa chung no chene mai kom ar chere chelu wa chung ke no te tal de mi adak tiji por kiregene wanyo mere nong chene ka yawa para ene petiti ko makana pilo weru wa duju magitiki para makara ante kerene kamene katwaro o miero nan yu angoma giramo konyo ke wan e chaka yu medokom tien kimane kide yu me ko wa duju pajo
kare sebamo we ampo bongon kare kanga to bachankarane even akutona na kwege ntairereye tinta ikane bongongo ba nanga ekinkwegombaga mubomili bwanje tene kyonkotongaga nobone gomba 10 tengo kitongaga ntabanye kweyiya ibe na injara tengegira mukono teko teko nsare nende kunansare bakwamba ngo nibo ni iya kantu katika kankpara ne iya betwende ni remesebe.
Now I have a challenge of this artificial limb. My leg was chopped from above knee. A prosthesis above knee is 2.5. So you can imagine 2.5, me, poor Sylvia from deep in the village. My parents have never even seen 2.5, even me myself. One day when I went to Mulago, I wanted to fix only the foot. But when they saw the question of the leg, they were like, you need a new one. But they were like, if you cannot provide 2.5 for the for the limb, there's no limb for me. I thought they gave me from Red Cross, I can still get for free. So they said here, we've not yet gotten that service to give free appliances. I thought they were joking. I had to stay a night, think that maybe they will think about it and say, let her not waste her transport from Kasese to Kampala, we will provide an artificial limb. But they showed me, we told you yesterday that there's no limb for you. I had to come back. So what we are going through as landmine survivors is a lot. First of all, when it comes to assistive appliances, they are costly, they are not found in any hospital apart from referral hospitals like Fort Portal, Mbarara, and Mulago. Then Kagando, they have put of recent that a service, but still there is a contribution that you have to pay.
Since 2020, Rwenzori Forum for Peace and Justice, RFPJ, a national civil society organization that fosters a culture of peaceful coexistence, access to justice, and respect for human rights, has been advocating for the rights of victims living with disabilities.
RFPJ, by establishment and mandate, recognizes the diversity within our population and therefore within all programming, we strive so much to bring out the voices of the most vulnerable people within the categories of people that we work with. And over the years, we have interested ourselves in persons living with disabilities, especially within our transitional justice mandate, working with victims of the ADF war and the LRA war, that is in Rwenzori and Northern Uganda regions. We have tried to engage with them and create spaces for them where they can easily engage with leaders from the local, the regional, and the national level. And we do this because we believe they can best describe what they have gone through and they can best advocate for themselves. And besides this, as an organization, we also do organizational capacity development for these victims. We understand that most of them are actually organized in groups and associations, and some of them are actually registered. So we come in to give technical support and training so that they can best engage within their own structures and outside their structures in advocacy for their own needs and interests. But also as an organization, we help victims realize their human rights by sharing with them information about existing laws, about existing government programs, and by doing so we are empowering them with information that they can use to share, to talk about themselves.
In this advocacy, Rwenzori Forum for Peace and Justice engages with policymakers and implementers to raise awareness on and advocate for the provision of inclusive and victim-centered social and economic services and works with communities in the Rwenzori and Northern Uganda regions to promote the dignity and respect for human rights of victims.
We have tried as RFPJ to link victims with disabilities to different service providers, those in health, in economic support, and others that are trying to provide assistive devices for them to help them cope up with life with disability. Because I understand it's quite challenging for them to cope up with life like any other Ugandan. But of course we believe that there is something, there is a contribution that we can do as an organization within our small capacity or within our networks to help victims living with disabilities realize a certain level of human rights within themselves. Then also, RFPJ has worked with victims in advocacy spaces to advocate for inclusive programming and inclusive services at all levels of service provision. And in our efforts to link with leaders and to work with leaders, we realize a certain number of achievements which can be found on ground or which we can easily explain. But of course, as RFPJ, this is an appeal that we are making, that for example, government should do the profiling of these victims. I think within our own mandate, we have reached out to many of them, but also we also know that many of them still remain unknown, and there's need for government to profile these victims and know where they are, what they are doing, and what they are going through, because unless this is done, then there's no basis for supporting them. We can't support someone that you don't know. But also, I know that government has so many services that are ongoing, and it's my appeal that these services are provided in a victim-centered manner. For example, within the existing government programs, government can choose to deliberately target victims of past conflicts as a special category of people and give them some support that they need for them to cope up with life and like any other Ugandan. So in other words, in all programming at policy level, let victims of conflicts be recognized and be given special attention. Then also, there is need to provide these victims with social services. And specifically, when you look at the victims within this space we're talking about, we need assistive devices, they need medical attention, and they also need psychosocial support. So this may not be from the government, but also other actors within the transitional justice space. So it is an appeal that much as we've done something, but there's still a lot to do in regard to provision of services for people living with disabilities.
Over the years, victims living with disabilities have been advocating for justice, accountability, and respect for human rights as a way of rebuilding their lives. While majority of them desire physical and mental rehabilitations, others yearn for access to education and economic empowerment support to encourage them to take control of their future and sustain their families.
Ekinasabaga nti government ekube kunyamba okunamba lisini yafu ekube kusupportinga ngube kwenda school nayongerayo.
We are appealing to the government to give a support so that they can also have a better living in their homes. Take an example. Government has a lot of different kind of programs. You'd find like somebody who has lost an arm or a leg cannot run these activities of parish development model where he or she needs to go to the sub-county, get a recommendation letter from the chairman, maybe get a stamp from somewhere. You'll find it becomes very difficult for that person to access the service where he or she is living. So it is better if the government can look into this issue. They group these categories of people in their different areas and have a service for them.
What I appeal to the government, we should have counselors. Let's have counselors in every sub-county that could come to these women and children so that they come and counsel them, because others are just traumatized. They don't think beyond themselves. They are just there, idle, they don't love themselves. It is my one wish. Secondly, I appeal to the government, let us have institutions, technical institutions, especially for these survivors. Take an example, during the tribal wars, people became lame, were disabled, but no help, they're just there. Others they lost their legs, others lost their arms.
Ngabagume manyweri mazima gonene nibone handa kandi sikwanda kwanye nibone saba bwebembeli bakuroba madini na betongore NGO sona siri mubonde bugiyo kyatuma Uganda yona kurangu maji makoba baro banje barorage maji mamontone asusata nangwa kubakwa sabora na muntu ne atekereja muntu ne moyambe so sinanye cyo nasabiye bembeli bona ba Uganda bakuroba madini mu Uganda yona kurangu nanje bagume manyweri kyatonga ngatu bantu abatunge bizibu bitiyo nato kutomanyerera nangatini sone nankaba bantu bakaneke moyo bantu bakanike mutini sone nankaba bonde bugano tutunge bizibu bikani mu bintu bisibiteyo
anta ke kon moy kan wa jola pian ke ramoy kan pa pia charo kan na ro tem ka ge me no ka ge yo pa no mer ge no pia char mo bet ke anan ke te ko na pia char me dukan ge hain ge rom tem.
I would like the government to come up and at least help me, because all my properties were taken, all my clothes, everything, even the phone, they took everything. And on that, I decided that though I have gone through very many challenges, I should join school and complete my education so that I begin a new life. So by now, I'm on the university, but I have no one to help me. I'm just striving for myself.
While the 2019 National Transitional Justice Policy recognizes inclusivity and vulnerability in the guiding principles and treats disabilities as a cross-cutting priority in the implementation of the policy, the country needs to take practical steps to address the specific challenges of victims living with disability as a result of armed conflicts and enact a victim-centered transitional justice law.
I think as a broader way forward, having listened to narratives from these victims of conflicts, Uganda needs to expedite the process of passing a victim-centered national transitional justice law. While we have the 2019 National Transitional Justice Policy, the law is very, very important because it will make the transitional justice work more justiciable and also accord victims of conflict the justice that they deserve.
you.